Welcome, nature detectives. I'm Conrad Baker. I'm an outdoor educator with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and today I have a nature mystery for you. I'm joined today by this beautiful plant, and I think we can use our nature tools to figure out what kind of plant it is and how it helps us every single day. We'll need two nature tools today, our eyes and our fingers. First nature clue that I notice about this plant that caught my eye right away is how tall it is. It's way taller than a lot of the other weeds and scraggly plants that we see growing in this meadow area. As I'm sitting here, it's almost over my head, super duper tall. Not every single one of them is that tall, but the tallest ones tower over all the other plants around here. The only other plants that are taller are trees, of course, and taller, more developed bushes. These are by far the tallest skinny weeds. The second nature clue that jumps right out at me about them is their structure, their shape. If we look along the middle of the plant, it's a straight line with these branching pieces off to the side. These little shoulder pieces, I call them. They're like little arms of stem that are reaching out to either side. This plant is not just a straight tower with one stem going straight up with leaves coming out to either side. It also has stems coming out to the sides, reaching out like arms or like growing out of the plant's shoulders. That's going to be a really important nature clue. And the third nature clue, we'll have to use our fingers to pinch just one of the leaves. We don't want to hurt the plant very much. We'll just take one leaf, pinch it right at the base, and let it pop off. And I'll show you what happens. Do you see the end of that leaf and how it looks white? If I put my finger along the edge, there's a white juice inside there. You might have seen some plants that do this in the past. And there's a pretty big group of plants in the world that have white juice inside. Really important nature clue. Let's put all our nature clues together. We have a great big tall plant, taller than all of the other weedy plants in this meadow. It has wide, long, reaching shoulder arms reaching way out to either side, not just a central stem with leaves coming off. And if we pluck off one of those leaves, we see some white juice inside. This must be dogbane. Dogbane is a kind of a weed that's very closely related to what we call common milkweed. And common milkweed might be ringing a bell in your memory because milkweed is a really important plant for monarch butterflies. It's one of the only plants that monarch butterflies can eat. Monarch butterflies can eat dogbane. It has some of the same chemicals that help those caterpillars and later the butterflies to be distasteful, bad tasting to predators, but monarch butterflies usually don't go for dogbane right away. But dogbane is very helpful in all other kinds of ways. Dogbane, especially when it dries out in the wintertime, leaves a stalk looking like this. And these hangy little string bean looking things are its seed pods. Those crack open and they have these little floaty, puffy seeds that will fly away on the wind and go and plant more dogbane elsewhere. The most important part about these stalks, so that would be standing around in the winter in this field, is that in the springtime, when these are still standing there, they can be broken and the fibers inside are super duper tough. Very strong fibers and strands that human beings with a lot of patience and skill can weave into jewelry and like bracelets and necklaces and even strong rope. There are some wild animals that can do that too. The one that comes to mind immediately is a kind of a bird that will use its beak to break up these dead stalks and then twist those fibers into a wonderful cup-like, sock-like nest that dangles from the end of a tree branch. You might have seen some of these birds before. A bright yellow and orange bird with some black on its wings and a black beak, the Baltimore oriole. Baltimore orioles really depend on tough fibrous plants like dogbane to build those really special nests and to raise their babies. Baltimore orioles feed on a lot of different nectaring flowers, and they eat a lot of insects and feed a lot of insects to their babies. Some of those insects might be harmful to our gardens or some of the plants that we like to eat. So by ripple effect, dogbane helps the Baltimore orioles, which helps us deal with some insects. Of course, the dogbane can be useful if you want to make some handy crafts or even some really strong naturally made rope. And then later in the summer, right here at the top, you see this puffy thing right here on the end? That is a flower bud with tons of tiny little flowers. And those flowers later in the summer will explode into a bright firework of flowers loaded with nectar that will feed all kinds of bees and butterflies and all different kinds of pollinating animals that go from flower to flower and help all different kinds of plants to grow. If you really want to put your nature detective skills to the test, try to find some dogbane in your neighborhood. Look in areas that don't get mowed very often. They won't be living in a deep forest or anything like that. They'll be living in a grassy, scrubby, weedy meadow, maybe at the edge of a field, or even just by the side of a road in a ditch or right next to a sidewalk. You might find some dogbane growing in unexpected places. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Nature Mystery. If you have any questions about dogbane or other very helpful plants in New York State, please pop a comment in the comment section below the video and share this video with your friends to put their nature detective skills to the test. And as always, like Letchworth State Park's Facebook page to stay tuned for more nature mysteries.